Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! Last time we finally left the cabin that we were a stowaway in for the whole voyage we've been on the ship, and we were at the passage back here and tried to get into this cabin, which is cabin number 2 and is connected through this ventilator to our cabin. And we want to examine things and see what we can do with the investigation in here. We met this Mr. Roy Lott, as it seems, but he is a little bit suspicious, as you can see from his face with the beard and the sunglasses. We tried to converse with him last time, but he won't talk to us, so we kind of have to help. We need the help of Mr. Sholmes, who is apparently here, and we're gonna talk to him in a second. But first things first, we're gonna investigate a little bit in here and see what we can find in this cabin here. So let's get started. What do you think you're doing? Oh. This is my cabin. Get out! Could we just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps? No. Ah, what a pity. I think we're out of luck. I think you're right. There doesn't appear to be anything more we can do. I agree, but there may be someone else who can help. Okay, so we have to go to Mr. Sholmes and ask for his help here. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with that Mr. Roy Lott. Yeah, it seems like this. So yeah, we have check marks everywhere. That means that we have to talk to... I just want to take a quick peek what there is there here. Okay, so there's quite a lot to check out, apparently. So, but we have to talk to Mr. Sholmes first, and we're gonna do that. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Was it? Let me check out. Let's go to the history. Did I... Mr. Sholmes? Ah, he only wants to be called what I did. Ah, because in Japanese there is always a son at the end. So it's Shorumsu-san or something. And he doesn't see the honoritive as... So Yunosuke doesn't see the honoritive son as a actual thing. And Sholmes wants just to be called Sholmes. Whatever. Alright. Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh! And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on, for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roy Lott, is clearly trying to hide something. Oh, you don't say. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Sorry. Why, the truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please. Well then, what you are about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Okay, let's go. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you or anyone. That's right. And Mr. Sholmes? I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but once I read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh! I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. Huh? There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn, you are, at this very moment, no less in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Oh, not all the son. I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, you can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle. Oh yes, I've read about it countless times on the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. And now I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the color has drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How could you? How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well then, I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Conclusion. Old man's identity. So the dubious-looking Russian Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place, is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you spot. Okay, so there was something. Now moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you decide to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer's plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular the fascinating front-page article, which, it would appear, you have read also, Mr. Roylott. Oh, okay. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article of the Revolutionary. Yeah, no. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary Villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, Villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Okay, so revolutionary on the run. Topic 2. Wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you say? You see? Oh! And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare.
No, I refuse.
What could you possibly concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps, one slight enough to fit therein?
Don't be absurd.
And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? You careless coup betrays you. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of the newspaper. For there is another most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page. Renowned prima ballerina of the Norwich Ballet disappeared from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Conclusion? Kidnapping of a young ballerina. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma, Elemensky. Okay. Alright. So this is very kin to Ace Attorney investigations where you have a rebuttal. And I think we have to do that here. Let's see. So Sato-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about. Was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholm's brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes. Could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Ah yes, I recall our discussion earlier, and at the time I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well, able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then the 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago I read something pertinent, I believe. true of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain litheness on their bodies. Vinegar. For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case.
Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes.
This whole thing is turning into a circus.
Mr. Naruhodo, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seem a little off.
Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Miss Susato.
It's just one or two keywords in his deductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if you might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think?
Switch some keywords in his deductions. Okay, so this is what it's all about. It's not a rebuttal.
Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction.
Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man has a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. Ha 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 ha! It's not that funny. Ah, and you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? Oh, okay.
Ah, where are your handcuffs?
How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in a dance of deduction. I don't believe it.
Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel.
And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried, in fact, I'd rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Alright, so first have an old man's identity. So the dubious looking Russian, Mr. Royal, obviously what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Can we already do something? No, we can't. Okay. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away your copious beard you sport. Okay, so...
I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard?
I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though.
Doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott either.
Which means, I suppose that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a keyword here.
Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps matters.
Alright, but how?
I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on? Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better,
then what?
Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruhodo-san.
Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott really going to use those enormous shears for? Okay, so... it's not the copious beard, it's not the thick head. Can we... Oh, it might be the coat buttons. What else could it be? I don't think it's the thick hat. It's not the copious beard. Aha. Okay, so let's just go for the golden locks then.
What's this?
It
Looks like a cascade of stunning golden locks.
No, the color's not the point. The point is, what's it doing on the back of Mr. Roylot's head? And how is it growing out from underneath his thick black hair?
Well, yes, that's true. It's stunningly beautiful and stunningly surprising.
Something's definitely not right here. Okay, so let's just present that then. We could also just check out everything else if we wanted to. I'm gonna do that. It's a very thick hat, isn't it?
Oh, that's the secret you see, Naruto-san, don't you know?
Secret? What?
Well, before we left Japan, I took some time to study various foreign countries. Russia is a land of unimaginable cold, and a thick hat is the secret of keeping warm. Without one, I read that your brain would freeze. That was just one of many fascinating snippets of information. And oh mother, not Russian.
I think maybe you picked the wrong book there. Let's talk about the copious beard then.
It really is a very full beard, isn't it?
Yes, although according to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott was about to cut it off. I still think that he looks nothing like the man pictured in the newspaper article though. The apparently merciless, revolutionary, violent Bolshevik.
So if he wasn't going to cut off his beard, presumably he was going to cut something else.
Yes, we need to look at this from a fresh perspective and try to work out what. Okay, so last thing is going to be the buttons.
Are you looking at the buttons on this coat?
Could it be that Mr. Roylott was planning to cut these off?
Oh, why?
Well, when you're wearing thick gloves, it can be very hard to undo buttons.
Then couldn't you just take off your gloves first?
Aha! So he was going to use the scissors to cut his gloves off then.
I want you to take a deep breath and look at this from a fresh perspective, Naruto-san.
Oops, I think she's angry. Okay, so we looked at everything. That means we can just go here and present the locks. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport.
Indeed, you have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man.
You're not a man at all, you're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair,
One's still very much in her youth.
Oh no! If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected.
The question then begs this: why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer's plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary.
it's not. It's the article about the ballerina. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea that old man was really a young woman in disguise. Did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that?
Yes, it was a surprise, Naruto-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you?
Sorry?
You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts with Mr. Sholmes.
I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. I am having fun. This is strictly business.
Yes, I understand. Say no more.
Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now.
No, that's true, given that Mr. Roylott is actually a woman.
Exactly, he, or rather she, can't possibly be the merciless revolutionary.
I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now.
Yes.
Let's switch the evidence for something else, something that fits the facts as we know and understand them.
For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like that recently. Yes, we did. Alright, I'll do my best. So, it's this young lady here, and we're gonna present that. Article about ballerina. The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina.
That's right, you've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name.
Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina,
Miss Nikolina Pavlova.
Ah! Hello there. You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. So the conclusion is, she's a ballerina on the run. We solved that. Okay, next to topic 2, wrongdoing. Let's go.
Now, as for my second conclusion, you are at this very moment on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case.
So it's not the traveling case, it's something else. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes. So clearly she can't be inside the traveling case as well.
No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all.
In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? The tiara, right? I can see I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again.
You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes?
Stop it! Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. Okay, so we'll have to look. Okay, we already spotted it, but I'm still going to check things out. It's a very small case, isn't it? You can see instantly that no person could possibly fit inside there.
So does that tell us that Miss Pavlova's telling glance is the direction was focused on something else?
If that's true though, it doesn't make sense.
What do you mean?
Well, if there's nothing incriminating inside this case, why did she refuse to let us look inside?
Yes, I wonder why. Perhaps she has a perfectly harmless reason though.
Yeah, we're gonna find out pretty soon, I think. So, is there anything else here? Maybe the garbage bin? The waste paper basket?
The waste paper basket?
Let's have a little look inside.
Naruhodo-san, it's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know?
Those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now.
However, these are special circumstances, I think.
Exactly, we have no choice. Aha! There's hardly anything here at all.
Oh, well, that's a little disappointing.
That's not true, there were letters. Or maybe it's just snippets or whatever. Is there something else here? There is a note, but we can't look at it. So there doesn't seem to be anything else. It's not the bottle, not the glass, so it is the tiara. We already know it's the tiara. So we're gonna talk about the tiara first before we present it. Wow, look at this dazzling tiara!
I've never seen anything like it. Are those real diamonds, do you think? Oh, Naruto-san, try it on.
What? Me? Isn't it usually girls who wear tiaras? Would you like to try it on?
Oh no, I couldn't possibly. It's far too beautiful.
Why does this tiara look familiar? I feel like I've seen it somewhere recently. So let's present it then. The tiara. The proof of your crime is surely this tiara.
Oh!
I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed. It would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary,
The crime you have committed is theft.
Oh no!
yes, you left your ballet troupe unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you.
Oh! I have no one, no family, no friends. I am all alone and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me.
This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself? She must have been extremely lonely.
Alright, I will tell you everything. There's no point to hiding it now.
Come, come, let us not be hasty.
What?
There remains one unsolved mystery about you.
Mystery? What do you mean?
You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Isn't that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there's no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I have ever laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the books on the shelf.
He's completely changed tack with this deduction now.
I think Mr. Schultz is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you?
Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh,
Do you think so?
well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her.
Yes, that's true, but still. Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eye in that direction. I noticed it myself.
Then there has to be another reason why she won't open her case. And it must be somewhere in the same area if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn.
I agree.
That's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. Alright, so what is it then? Is it the rules of the passage?
These are the rules of the passage for travel aboard the Setburia. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden.
There was exactly the same notice on our cabin too. I wonder what happens if you break the rules. She has a pet with her, apparently.
Oh dear, I'm sure the punishment would be severe, Naruto-san. You'd probably be left to drift in the freezing cold ocean, or shut inside a tiny wardrobe for days on end.
So I've actually been serving time for weeks now. Have I? it might... Okay, so let's look at the cabin door too. It's a metal door, the same as in Kazuma's cabin.
Yes, and the rather slim bolt is the same as well.
Well, if Miss Pavlova was actually glancing over at the door here instead of the bookcase, that would suggest a desire to run away from this cabin.
Maybe?
I still think she has a pet in that thing. So let's look at the books on the shelf. Ah, it looks like these are all the same books that we have in our cabin. I suppose the steward likes to make sure passengers have plenty to read for the long voyage.
And have you noticed how all the books have fallen over just like in Kazuma-sama's cabin? It's almost like someone's taken a sweep at them.
Maybe Miss Pavlova while she was practicing her ballet? Anyway, the point is we don't have time to look through all these books at the moment.
We couldn't even if we wanted to. They're all in Russian.
Well, that's a relief. Let's try our luck elsewhere. Yes. Let's look at the small picture.
This is a charming little picture, isn't it?
What is it? Someone climbing a steep mountain? Or descending one, it seems to me. When you've been on the flat sea for a while, maybe you start seeing hills and mountains and everything. Okay, it's not that. So, it has to be this. I'm gonna present this. Rules of passage. You were right. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. I don't think it's a weapon, it must be a pet. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel.
That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents.
So a weapon wouldn't move. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord.
Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova, inside your traveling case. Is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage a pet?
I can't go for both of them. Next time I will just go with Ryunosuke. But that was really cool. That is such a cool way. Oh man. Oh! The dance of deduction is really so great. Okay, possession of a prohibited animal. Solved. That's so cool. Deduction complete. Elementary. So, what does this leave us with? You'll have to find out the next time, guys, because we've reached the half-hour mark already. We have been 10 minutes over. So, thanks so much for watching this episode, guys, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles!